Hi, hope you're having a great day, and I hope you get nothing but the best today and in the future. I hope your heart is warm, and I hope you are hearing your favorite song. I want you to look at these two crooks. People, they shouldn't even be near the American flag. That in itself, that in itself is a disgrace. It shows America has fallen and is fallen fast. Well, Trump is being investigated for the January 6th, 2020 insurrection, where he tried to overthrow the election, the November election, which he lost, and he tried to force governors in various states to throw out votes by citizens and to put in votes that he demanded so he could win the election. Now, this is some third world SHI. We do not want to go down this road. It's easy to go down, but you may never get back up because everybody loves the road to corruption. If they get power, if they get more money, if they get access over individuals to exert their power even more fully, it just keeps going and going and going. You'll never stop it. So Lindsey Graham, a senator, regular person, ran for the Senate, and now he was asked about Trump making phone calls to Georgia, where he asked for 11,000 plus votes. He said that's all he needed to win. That's a particular state. And the governor said, well, we counted and counted and counted, and you just don't have the votes that you want. The citizens didn't elect you. He said, nonsense. Who cares about the citizens? Just put the votes in. Governor said, I can't do that. That's not how we run our elections in this country. So he didn't get the vote, and Lindsey Graham applied pressure too. He was trying to get those fake votes in. That's like you and me going to our front door and someone saying, hey, I want Ben to win the election. Here's 1,000 votes. I want you to just fill them in and throw them into the ballot box under these names, and we'll call it a win. We could easily do that. That's not hard to do. I'm sure that's how Trump got through school. I'm sure he cheated his whole way. I bet you Trump never would have earned a degree from business school if he had had to use his own brain. But he was able to coerce people, pay people off, and finally end up with a piece of paper with his name on it. And he's been waving it ever since, saying he earned that degree. I don't believe it. I think he's from the school of scammers, and I think he's been showing that ever since. I've actually been looking at him, and that's around, 2015, 2014, whenever he started crawling up from the depths of hell. But here he is with Lindsey Graham. He's so happy because Clarence Thomas says he doesn't have to answer any questions about why he was making phone calls for those extra 11,000 votes. Now, Lindsey Graham says, hey, I'm in the Senate, I'm part of the legislature, and we don't have to answer questions about our legislative business, why we voted one way or another, or why we took certain actions. This was not his legislative business. This was off the record, behind the scenes, under the covers, corruption. It had nothing to do with Senate business. It had nothing to do with the reason he was sent to the Senate. He is a snake in the grass. He is a snake in the grass. And he doesn't want to even answer questions because he thinks he's too good. Now, we all think that when a policeman stops us. How fast were you going? Well, I'm not answering that. Don't you know who I am? Why did you hit that lady? Well, I didn't see her. I didn't hit her. Who hit her? How'd she get down there? Why's she under my car? You know, you gotta answer questions. You're just another person. You're not a god. You're just a senator. And that's why we have to be so careful in choosing who we put in the Senate. We don't need more puppets in the Senate. We need people who are honest and good thinkers. Lindsey Graham has obviously gone beyond that. And I'd like to know all the dirt he's been up to in his many years in the Senate. He needs to go. And I hope his voters kick him out. Well, now he got Clarence Thomas to say, oh, I don't think you have to answer questions, but let's investigate. Typical Trump ploy. Delay, delay, delay. Appeal, appeal, appeal. We never get any answers from the courts. Our courts are totally useless. They're useless. And as for Clarence Thomas saying he doesn't even have to answer questions, this is not even a legitimate question to bring before the court. Of course he has to answer questions. And if they ask him something that's inappropriate, he can always say that during the time he's answering questions. But he can't avoid answering any questions. This is stupid. So, I think what we have to do, Americans are living a long time. People are questioning the minds of Trump, Biden, Graham, and also the Supreme Court justices. They get on there for life, and it's too long. Clarence Thomas has been there 30 years. Who knows how his brain has changed over 30 years? We don't need anybody on the Supreme Court for 30 or more years. We need to get him off. It used to be when they made up the rule that they were on for life, say with federal judges, that people didn't live that long. People lived maybe to be 50, maybe 40s, maybe some a little longer. But in general, people were going down left and right from various illnesses, from not treating their body properly, from obesity and all of those problems, from excess sugar. And we didn't have them on the bench so long, so they didn't have such a long time to have this dementia and these other problems affect us. But now we have these people who get in 30 years or more, and they're crooked by now. They've been in there too long. They've gotten the money. They've gotten the power, and they no longer relate to the citizens. They no longer see that their stalling techniques just delay our ability to move forward. Nobody wants to hear about Lindsey Graham and the January 6th committee for the next 5 years. Get him in there, answer the questions, and get him out. That's all you need to do. We don't need to delay this. We don't need to make up things. We don't need the full Supreme Court to hear this. We only need one person with common sense. And obviously, that is not Clarence Thomas. We need one person with common sense who can say, of course they can ask you questions. If you object to a question, you can object while they're asking it, same as anybody does in a deposition. If I were scheduled for a deposition and I didn't show, I'd be in big trouble. Eventually, they might throw me in jail. If I'm at a deposition and they ask me something I can't or won't answer, I tell them. I might have to use pleading the fifth, or I might have some other excuse as to why I can't respond. But we have plenty of ways of getting out of answering questions. Ask Donald Trump. He never answers a question. He's been deposed many times, and usually he says, he can't answer because it might incriminate himself. So we know that Trump knows how to answer questions and yet never answer a question. Lindsey Graham should do the same thing. Clarence Thomas is nutty for thinking that this has to go before the Supreme Court or any other body. He's just a senator. He's just a senator. And our justice system is trash. I'm sorry to say it. I want our courts to be good, but let's face it, we've seen so many examples of